you about your basic needs of survival. This will be based around your base chakra, your most innermost needs. So, start off with, as it's the base chakra, a bit of drumming, which always warms us up and gets us in the right frame of mind. Country Park today, and it's an interesting place for me because although I've been interested in survival and techniques to live on the land for many years, it was here in 1999 I did my very first proper bushcraft course, which is a bit more than survival. It's about living with the land, using things that you find. So I did a course here with Ray Mears, and you may well know him from the telly. If there was one thing I learned from him that I've taken with me, apart from some fire lighting and some basic skills, it was to learn to look at the land like our ancestors did. For me, my drumming, my shamanic path, which I'm training to be a shamanic practitioner, and survival are intertwined. Learning to live and understand the land like our ancestors did is vitally important, and they combine for me. The last 2 years I've not been doing a lot of bushcraft and survival, so when I got asked to come along today and do a small presentation for you, I was really excited. I'm coming to the end of my shamanic medicine wheel and will soon be a full shamanic healer and practitioner. So, basics of survival. I'm just going to give you a moment. What do you think your main needs of survival are? You're stuck in a survival situation. What would be your priority? Okay, while you're thinking about that, your first one is staying alive. So, possibly your most important thing is chopping the head off a zombie. Because if a zombie's coming at you, that is right in your base chakra. That is your fear kicking in and kicking in your adrenaline. So chopping the head off of a zombie that's trying to eat your brains is your first priority. I would not say that this is a likely one, but it's a popular one at the moment, especially if you watch the new thing Curfew, really good series on Sky. So, we would say our first thing we would do is what we did. If you pan up a second, yeah, you can see we've knocked together a very quick shelter to do this filming in. This is very quick and not how we would build it in a survival situation, because you would want it nice and small. You want it low to the ground to keep the heat in. Now, even if you've just got a tarp like this is grab bag survival, the most simplest form, yeah? You build a shelter. First thing we did, because it's a horrible day and it's raining, you would build it low to the ground. The other way you could do it is with what you find in nature. Some sticks. Obviously great big ones, not little ones like this, because we just don't have a few hours to do this in, yeah? You literally get sticks like this and build yourselves a frame about the size of you, yeah? And then inside that frame, over that frame, you pile loads and loads of little sticks. You go into the woods and get leaf mould. Pile it on top and pile it inside. If you have nothing else, your priority for survival, number one, is shelter. On a night, if I was to spend the night out here, you could freeze to death tonight. It's February, yeah, March, yeah, it's March. So, you build up a pile of sticks, yeah, and then pile your leaf mould over the top. This is very basic. The guy I learnt with is a guy called James. He runs courses called Native Awareness. If anyone wants to do really good survival, I highly recommend it. He's very in tune with nature, and everything he does is about awareness and how to walk, be in the woods and start fires using natural means. Yeah, if you did all these courses, I've done quite a few of them, you would learn the basics to walk into the woods literally as you are, flint knap, make your tools, make your fire drill, etc. Today we're going to keep it nice and simple. So, a simple shelter covered in leaf mould, and leaf mould in the inside will keep you nice and warm. Now, the next most important thing isn't food or water, it's fire, because that will keep you warm. If your clothes are wet and damp, you can heat them up and dry them over a fire. So, basics of fire lighting. For one thing, remember this, from years ago, I took my son camping at a place called Debden House. Now, it's a place where you can have a fire. There was a man trying to light a log, and it was like this big, yeah? There's no way you can do that. What you have to do is start with the very smallest pieces and work your way up. These are just a few bits we've grabbed from the woods. First thing you need in the woods, this is your friend, it's the birch tree. This time of the year, not only does the bark peel off, and you can use that for your fire lighting, you can also go into the woods, use your knife to dig a hole into it, yeah, very carefully, nice big branch, the sap's rising, and collect the sap to drink. Now, I always carry basic survival stuff is a can, because you need something to collect the water in. You can also turn the birch bark into a container to collect water by collecting the resin from it and making glue, and gluing the bark and stitching it together using simple twine from things made from things like stinging nettles, which is also a good friend in nature. So, if you have a birch tree, you dig a hole in it, you make a little funnely bit, hang it off, put your grooved piece of wood with a little hook so it drips down into it, and collect the sap. Good place to collect water. Birch is your friend. The bark can be used to make containers, and it's also the best natural fire lighting stuff. Now, so, something like a billy can, and your most important survival tool is your knife. So, when I say a knife, you call that a knife? No, that's a knife. Sorry, little bit of we're doing this live and I'm forgetting things. 80s Crocodile Dundee. I know you're probably thinking that's not much of a knife, yeah? In fact, if I'm doing general bushcraft and I'm doing stuff like this in the woods, this is the perfect knife. I can hang it round my neck. It's out of the way and it's small, yeah? This was actually invented, this knife and its style was made by Mora, which I highly recommend for starting knives for survival and bushcraft, and it was invented by a guy called Ericsson. Now, Ericsson was the father of bushcraft in Sweden. It's a very small little knife, but if you have got larger pieces of wood and you want them to burn, use your knife to cut into it and feather it. It will make the wood burn better. And remember, split wood always burns better than bark of the wood. The bark of the wood actually contains most of the water, about 30 or 40% of it. So, might have those percentages like that. What you would then need, the other really good tool to carry, is a folding bushcraft saw. So, remember, when it's starting a fire, preparation is everything. Now, you see that will be much harder to burn. But if you use your knife, even a little knife like this, can split the wood, making smaller pieces. Split wood burns much better. Right. Now, what I use when I've run courses in survival, which I haven't done for a couple of years, is a fire steel. This is the modern way, a modern fire steel. I have got at home flint and steel. I do fire drill and hand drills. I've never managed to get a fire going with a hand drill. It's really hard work. And if you watch someone like Ray Mears do it, you can see him on the telly, and in damp conditions you can get blisters on your hands. This is simple. This kit, a few pound on eBay, yeah? If you buy a better one, they're about £5. This is still the same one that I bought off of Ray Mears 20 years ago nearly. So it lasts forever. Now, the trick is to get your sparks into the birch bark. The way I always do it is I put the knife on the birch bark and then pull backwards. Even then, it doesn't work straight away. Yeah. So, birch bark's got resin in it and it burns beautifully. Now, from there, you literally take smaller sticks and add them on. Our hastily made shelter is collapsing around us. Now, for smaller fires, you build your way up. I'm not actually going to build a proper fire today, as we might annoy the people in the country park. And as you can see, it's a really quick, efficient way of starting a fire. Now, if you want to put some stuff in your kit for survival, this is absolutely brilliant. It's the fluff from the inside of a tumble dryer, and it works very quickly because of course it's all fibres that are very small and fine. Except today when the birch bark, which normally is harder, there we go. So, if you've got a tumble dryer at home and you want a really simple fire lighting equipment, you do that. It is the simplest way. So, fire and shelter are your first and most important things. Keeps you warm, dry, and if you look at like language and history, tribes today still use the word fire for home. And even if you think, if we look at the roundhouse here, and we look at people like the Celts, Saxons, tribal people of Northern Europe, their word for home is hearth fire. Your hearth fire is your home. So, we've made ourselves a little shelter and a little home. Now, you literally start with sticks that big, then that big, size of a pencil, and then going up to the size of your finger, like this, working up until eventually the fire's hot enough to take one sort of this size, or as we'd say, size of your wrist. So, from the thinnest little bits of wood, like these, hanging up in trees often, in the woods. Essex is brilliant for it, because if you pan around to just over there, you'll see there's a load of hung up wood that's been air dried and is the best stuff to light your fire. Right, so for our intents and purposes, we will say we've got a nice fire going, you've got a shelter. Your next thing is water. You can collect it from a birch tree at this time of year. This is one of the hardest ones to do in the modern world, mainly because if you find a stream that's been near farmers' fields, what can happen is the chemicals used on the field get washed down into the stream, and the normal thing that you would do to detoxify water would actually be to boil it. If you boil water with agrochemicals in it, then what you're actually doing is condensing it and making it more poisonous. So you're better off finding somewhere in a country park like Hadley that's a pond that's muddy and horrible. Now, to collect the water from this, you're not going to want to drink muddy water. You need to take your socks off. By the way, British Army socks. Most of my kit is ex-army. That's because it is actually very cheap and quite good at doing its job. You take your sock off and you find some sand or very, very fine pebbles, and you pour the water through your sock. Survival isn't always very pleasant. You then collect that water and possibly have to do it 2 or 3 times. What happens is the sediment gets slowly taken out of the water and you get what could be then boiled. But you need to get it as clean as possible, yeah? And then it has to be boiled for a long, long time. At least 15-20 minutes. That's why fire is also your most essential thing. If you look at our actual needs, 3 minutes without air. That's why your zombies are your first priority, yeah? Any immediate danger, yeah? Then 3 days without water, and then you'll start to feel the ill effects. Anything that affects you will affect your ability to survive and get more food and water. So, water is your priority. Now, even my little Swedish Army billy can, by the way, I highly rate these. If anyone's got a Trangier stove for camping, that's what they're based on. These are great because they actually work off of methylated spirits, but you can build a little fire inside to heat up your water. So, inside there you can actually have a fire, or you can use the left burner. I cannot stress how important water is. If you look at all our ancient civilizations, they're all built where water is. Our ancestors would have been, this was the most crucial part to their lives. That and the other one is of course salt, and that's a long-term effect. So, mess burner. You can see I haven't opened this in a while because it's a bit stuck. There we go. And of course, if we're lucky, it might actually catch fire. if your birch bark is a catching fire, you fluff it up and make loads of little raggedy edges. Little raggedy edges catch it much easier. And it is the law of fire that when you got one alight, you should just keep it alight. Oh. I will show you how to keep it alight in a second. That's the beauty of doing this live. As you notice, if you pull the stick away, you don't actually disturb your pile of kindling. Now, we've got our little pile of birch bark burning. What you can do, this is birch polypore. Another reason the birch tree is important is once you get your birch bark alight, you can actually burn the edge of this and then use that to carry. And you can carry a red hot ember with you all day. I'm guessing, there we go. Nope, my methylated spirits are not lighting today. There we go. Now, this is why you carry a little stove. It makes it just that bit easier to boil your water. I would also recommend carrying Puri tabs to carry your water. Once you've got a good supply of it, that is one of your big priorities. Now, I haven't mentioned food. If there's any vegans there, you're not going to like me. Vegans are going to struggle. In fact, you're pretty much going to die. You're going to have to hunt and kill. We only managed to become vegetarians in Europe with the Greeks and the invention of farming. Your best bet, black widow catapult, take down small animals, squirrels, rabbits. So, if you manage all of these things, you will stay alive. That's shelter, fire, water, food. It's not easy. I've done years of it and there's a good chance I would die, yeah? if anyone was interested, I will give you my details at the end. I would consider running some survival courses later in the summer when the weather's nice on a local level. I run last ones at Scout Camp at Rochford Way. Yeah? So, your basic needs: shelter, food, water and heat. Yeah, these will keep you alive. Now, that's gone very quickly, so now it's a little commercial break at the end. I'm currently, we are running locally some workshops. My partner is, I shall pass these to Matt, yeah, is running some courses in shamanic medicine wheel. We studied in the Amazon in America, and the last few years she's been running the medicine wheel, the way of the serpent, the south. The medicine wheel has been a massive transformation in my life, making me re-evaluate life. I wouldn't say it was easy, but it's been very worthwhile. I started my studies in America with a woman called Lee Hilfiger, who is descended from Sami shaman. But on a more introductory level, we run a shamanic drum group. It's once a month, it's the third Tuesday of the month. We're called Earth Keepers. We meet at 7:30 to 9:30 at All Saints Church, and we're a friendly bunch, and I wouldn't say we're the best drummers in the world, so don't have any fear of it. We're still working and learning together. The flag is actually the aim. We use that at all our ceremonies and our evenings. It's the American Indian movement. We do have the plan to this summer doing a shamanic drumming flash mob to raise awareness of global issues in the town centre. So, I hope that's been great. You can see fire is a tricky beast. Sometimes it works straight away, sometimes it doesn't. But even with a small amount of equipment, a shelter, a sleeping bag, I would add to this, a little billy can, a knife and a little folding saw, you're good to survive. I hope you enjoy the rest of your session with Matthew and have a good evening.